thanks for joining us. I'm Todd Flesner, and Debbie in here, Giorgiano.
That's okay, that's a
It's a
mouthful.
mouthful. You've joined us here on Valley Homes on TV in Milpitas. And so thanks for joining in Channel 26. We're on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday evenings at 6:30, and Saturday and Sunday mornings at 9. So appreciate you tuning in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so Deb, you brought a guest today.
I have invited Kelly Lee. She's a property manager. We've met at the breakfast meetings that we go to, the North Valley breakfast meetings here Thursday at 8:30 a.m.
Okay,
And
terrific.
I had a chance to meet Kelly. I was really impressed with her. Asked her to be on the show, and here she is. So.
Awesome. Well, good. So we get to learn more about you then, Kelly.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, will you start off and tell us a little bit about where you grew up, a little bit of your background?
sure. I actually grew up in Sacramento. I
Okay.
moved here about 5 years ago
Alright.
with my husband. He is from here. He didn't like the weather over there so much, so he dragged me out here, and we started doing real estate together.
All right.
Here I am today.
Terrific.
So what do you like most about the Bay Area? What keeps you here?
Diversity.
Mhm.
I really like that diversity. The opportunities that you get for jobs out here, and
Mhm.
I just love the weather.
Oh, who doesn't, right? We have a beautiful day today. You can't tell in the studio, but it's a gorgeous, sunny California day.
Yes.
And so Milpitas is a great place to be. So you're in the property management business. Tell us a bit about your career path. How did you get into property management?
So I started out doing real estate sales,
Mhm.
like Debbie,
Mm-hmm.
and then we said, hey, let's just start doing property management
Mm-hmm.
for residual income.
Okay.
And so we started out one, and then two from Yelp, from referrals, friends, and then now we're managing up to 300 homes in the Bay Area. So hopefully we'll grow from there.
So if we have to define what a property manager
Yeah.
property manager does, how would you explain that?
So a property manager is someone who helps the landlord or the property owner manage their property. We have two different services. One is tenant placement, and the other one is full service.
Okay.
Tenant placement is we do all the screenings for them. We conduct all the background checks. We help them sign a lease.
Okay.
Once they sign the lease, then the landlord takes over and manage themselves.
Okay.
A full service is we do all of it. We manage, we do all the background check, we help with any maintenance issues,
So you get the calls in
rent
the middle of the
collections.
night?
Yeah,
right?
yes, we do have a 24-hour service.
Uh-huh.
So, but they don't call me;
No.
they call my maintenance person. So yeah.
Okay. Well, terrific. So now, is that pretty typical of property management companies and how they operate?
Typically, yeah, that's how it operates. We manage properties for them, and if they need us for maintenance, then we'll help them with the maintenance issues as well.
Okay.
So let's talk about different property management companies.
Yeah.
How do they differ then in what, I'm sure, scope of services, or how about just the management style?
Mostly has to do with services. For us, is we do a lot. We do rent collection. We deal with all the maintenance. Some don't do a biannual inspection
Okay.
where they just manage, they
Interesting.
collect the rent, they pay the landlord, but they don't come and inspect the property to make sure that it's in good condition.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So we do that, and that's one of the main services that we provide.
That
and
sounds
and
like a key service.
Yes.
Mhm.
yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you mentioned you do real estate sales. So I imagine that includes having specialized real estate knowledge and a license. Why is that important, and how does that integrate into what you do with property
I
management?
think it's very important. In order to become a property manager, you first have to become licensed.
Okay.
But with my knowledge in real estate sales, it helps with finding comps for them, letting them know how much potentially they can rent the property for.
Okay.
Some property managers don't do real estate, so sometimes they can overestimate or underestimate a value,
Okay.
and the landlord may not get their home rented as fast as they can, and then they end up losing more money than they.
Okay.
So that segues into my question.
Yeah.
Why would a landlord benefit from property management? I guess get their home rented sooner.
Typically,
And
we can get homes rented within a week to 2 weeks
Mm-hmm.
because of the way that I do comps. I
Okay.
recommend them a certain amount. And then I do make recommendations on what things they should do to their home to enhance the property to potentially get higher rent.
Okay.
And so one of the main things why a landlord should hire a property manager is, rent collection and the
Okay.
value that we provide.
And I suspect it's kind of like a firewall. To the landlord does not have to integrate or
Yeah,
have
no.
a relationship with that tenant.
They don't
and
have
that's a
to-
huge benefit
Yes.
to the landlord.
Exactly. They don't have to chase after the rent. They don't have to deal with all the maintenance issues. And
Right.
especially us living in the valley, they're so busy.
Yeah, well, how about liability issues as well? I mean, like, there's landlord-tenant laws that, if you aren't trained properly, that there may be liability with that. I mean, talk
So
about
we-
that.
I personally attend a lot of trainings for,
Okay.
if you have ever heard of Apartment Association.
Okay.
They provide a lot of different trainings. They invite guest attorneys,
Mm-hmm.
comes and talks about the different laws, update on laws. So I know a lot, and with the different notices that you have to provide, you have to know what type of notice, when to provide those notices. So that brings a lot of value.
Okay, let's talk about the different type of units. Residential, single family versus maybe multi-units. So maybe myself, I've got maybe a 4 or 6 unit apartment building, would want you to manage that as opposed to a single family. Is anything different about the management style that you use for that?
No difference. We do the same exact thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more important for the investor to know the difference between a multi-unit and how much value you can get and versus single-family home. Obviously, a lot of people like single-family home because of yard,
Okay.
privacy.
Mm-hmm.
When you speak about multi-family, you're talking about duplexes, condos, apartment complexes.
And I guess it'd be important to have good tenants in those multi-units because
Yeah.
that would affect the quality of life for the other tenants.
for the other
there.
tenants, yeah, exactly.
What sort of things come up when you're dealing with tenants and problems that arise?
Problems such as I haven't gotten into a lot of problems with them, but
Okay.
maybe like maintenance issues problem
Okay.
you're asking. So if they were to have any problems, they do have their own online portal to report those maintenance issues. It goes directly to our maintenance manager.
Mhm.
She then analyzes them. She'll call them first to talk over the phone with them to make sure that it's something that we need to send a vendor for.
Okay.
So
Okay,
All right.
all right. Let's talk about the housing crisis.
yeah.
That's on the forefront every time you pick up the
Yes.
newspaper. How has that either benefited or challenged your industry, the property management industry?
It hasn't been a challenge for me because I am a property manager helping a renter find a home. So right now there are a lot more renters out there because home prices are on the rise. They don't have the down payment for it, so there
Right.
are more renters, and so a lot of my homes are getting rented really fast.
Okay.
Okay. So demand is really high for rent. We've been hearing about rents rising as well as home prices, and I'm sure that that's a challenge. But along those lines, where do you see the market headed? Is that a trend that's a long-term trend, or we get some stability? Get your crystal ball out. Where are we headed?
I think with our housing crisis and not enough inventory on the market, there are going to be more renters out there, and there are going to be more people looking to rent than buy because there aren't enough inventory, and like I said again, home prices are on the rise. So for me, I think there are going to be a lot more renters.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you see rents continuing to go up? Do you see rents stabilizing?
Right now, rent is stabilizing.
Okay.
It's
Oh,
not.
interesting.
Yeah, rent is stabilizing. I don't run comps the way I run comps about a year ago,
Okay.
back in the springtime.
How's that changed?
Let's talk about three bedroom, 2 bath.
Okay.
I could have last spring. I could have rented for about 3,600 ish.
Okay.
Now I'm renting between 32 and 33.
Wow.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right, so rents have stabilized a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe
good.
it's just the threshold of pain. People are just the Band-Aid has been or the rubber band has been stretched so far
Yeah.
that they just can't, there's no room left.
Yeah.
Interesting, okay.
Okay.
So, what are some of the challenges that you face? I know you're a mother of 3.
Yes.
Yes, and she's a gorgeous mother of 3.
Challenge in its own right there.
So obviously you're used to juggling a lot of balls there, but what do you see generally in property management, the field of property management? What are the challenges?
Some of the challenges is scheduling appointments with tenants,
Okay.
them not being available, tenants not wanting vendors to come into the home when they're not there, and finding quality vendors.
Okay.
Okay.
Those are because those quality vendors tend to get booked up
Mhm.
or booked out. So the challenge is finding the right trade and the license and the good ones.
Well, sure. And if you're going to send someone into someone's home, right, to do a repair, you want to make sure that you've vetted that person. I imagine, right, that you have a high quality person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, good. We talked a little bit about challenges. What about rewards? What is it that you enjoy about what you do?
Yeah, I do enjoy seeing my tenants
Mm-hmm.
getting that approval from the owner or me giving that phone call and say, hey, congratulations, you've been approved. Being a renter is just as bad as being a buyer. They are submitting multiple applications to multiple homes, not knowing which one they'll get.
Okay.
And so when you give them that phone call, say, hey, you've been accepted, they're really happy.
It's life-changing for them.
Life-changing.
It's a
And
place for their
especially with
family.
the ones that have pets.
Oh.
Well, it's very challenging for them because some owners don't want to have pet in their home. And so when you find tenants who have pet and they get approved, they're so thankful.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I imagine they're good tenants.
Yeah,
You know, they're
Yeah.
probably very responsible.
yeah.
So, just going down the line, what are your future goals and objectives?
Yeah, my future goals.
Have more children.
Oh, no, I'm done. I'm done. The third one killed me.
Just wait till your kids watch the show.
Yeah, no, I'm done. But no, my future goals is to expand our property management. Right now, we're managing from Morgan Hill all the way to South Bay, up to
Wow.
Palo Alto, Los Altos. But we're looking to expand up to Sacramento area, San Francisco area. As you may know, that's a totally different market. But there is a need for them out there, and so I'm hoping to expand more. And
Terrific. Well, let's say folks have questions. They want to get in contact with you. How do they do that?
yeah, if you have any questions or if you need to contact me, you can either give me a call. Do I provide my phone number?
Yeah,
Give
sure.
me a call at 408-780-4823. Or you can definitely find me on Yelp and read all the good reviews I have. Look for the Fan Real Estate Team and you'll find me and my husband.
Yep,
Terrific.
very good. Thanks for taking your time.
Thank you so much for inviting me here. I'm so glad my first time. I'm sorry.
You did excellent.
You did an outstanding job. Kelly, again, thanks for joining
Thank
us
you.
here on Valley Homes on TV.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Valley Homes on TV. Todd Flesner along with Debbie Giordano. And we're going to give you a little wrap-up here on what's happening in the market.
Yeah, just as I told you, had a nice sale yesterday for a property I listed at $998 and it sold for $1,090,000. So
Okay.
3 offers on that one.
So still over asking.
All over asking. That was in the Kirtner Elementary School. You know, Todd, schools are really important in Milpitas.
Oh, absolutely.
With the plethora of buyers, they really are snagging the good schools.
So you're
first.
finding that with the buyers, that they're really looking at the school and doing their research around what the
Yeah.
track record of the school is.
Right, and the open houses on this one, I did 3 and it brought in 100 buyers
Wow.
just through those open houses. So, you're in a good school, you got great value there.
Okay. Well, That's a good thing to know when you're when you're picking a home. That translates later on, right?
Exactly, because as you know, if you're a buyer,
Mhm.
you have to think someday you're going to become a seller.
Right. So even if you don't have kids yourself, it impacts that decision.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Good point.
Yeah, good,
All right.
good question.
Yeah. All right. Well.
So I noticed you, on your email, I love it. I thank you so much for updating me on interest rates and where
Sure.
the economy is. But something happened on Monday with the bonds softened up, or
Yeah, bonds softened up a little bit, and so we've been kind of a little bit back and forth with interest rates. We're at about the lowest point we've been in the last 18 months with interest rates.
Excellent.
It's fantastic. And there's been a little bit of uncertainty, some of the trade talk with China, that's been weighing on that. In the technicals, we look at the yield curve, the difference between short-term interest rates and longer-term interest rates, and that's narrowing. And that typically is a advanced indicator of perhaps recession or a slowdown in the future. In fact, the Federal Reserve Board, in their most recent meetings here, the minutes just came out the other day. And the Fed chair, for the first time now, is talking about the possibility of lowering interest rates as we move forward.
wow. Well, we haven't seen that for a while.
No, we haven't. So we moved from entering 2019 with a bias to 2 to 3 increases. in
That's
the
what
Fed,
we'd heard, yeah.
Right? And then by the end of the first quarter, they'd moved to a neutral bias. And now the most recent Fed minutes are now that they are looking and open to whether or not they might need to reduce interest rates to continue to have the economy move forward and not move into a slowdown.
Whoa, interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
So-
and so although employment rates continue to be real high, the Fed is that yield curve is something they look at inflation. Now inflation numbers are very, very tame, and that's been great. It helps to keep our interest rates low as well, because that means investors' dollars aren't eroded in the future by higher cost of money. So that's a part of, I think, what's in the mix there as well in terms of the low interest rate environment.
So for you, what are the buyers thinking right now? Is that a good time to jump in and buy with the lower rates, or is it impact their
Yes.
thought process?
Yeah, I think the lower rates definitely it helps with the affordability. Now, this is not an affordable area to live in. I mean, no.
But nationally,
But nationally, it helps with affordability. But also in this area, particularly when we have high home prices, 0.25% in interest rates can make a couple $300 a month difference in your mortgage payment. Right? And so the little changes really leverage what those payments are on the larger loan amounts.
okay.
So, it does have an impact. It helps people, when they're looking at their monthly budgets, to figure, okay, I can make this work at these lower interest rates.
Right. Interesting.
So, but I've seen a little bit of a shift, I think, in some of the buyer mentality. A year and a half ago, it was more of a mentality: I'm going to do and spend whatever I need to do to get into a home, right? The stock market was roaring at that point in time. Since then, we've seen a couple little corrections. The stock market is still good and strong, but we've seen a couple of corrections, which I think has given people a little bit of a pause, right? That you're not as willing to be as aggressive. So I would probably characterize it more as value conscious.
I would concur with that, because as I see potential buyers coming through the open houses, like this one that had 100 buyers,
Right.
I would have typically seen 5, 7, 9 offers on the house.
Right.
There were only 3.
Right.
3 committed. So I do believe that buyers are very cautious and really taking a lay of the land and looking
Right.
at it from a long-term perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
And or being more choosier is what they want.
Yeah, there's a little bit more inventory, so you are able to choose from other homes at this point in time. But like I said, I think value conscious is kind of how I would describe it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Can we
good.
talk about market value?
Yeah.
So
let's-
I brought the April 2018, 2019 statistics, and we hit peak in about April of last year, and I'm so correct, because in April 2018, the average home price, single-family in Milpitas, was $1,224,000.
Okay.
Guess what it was last month, April 2019? 1,204,000.
Okay.
So just we dropped down the last 6 months of last year.
Right.
And then we've spent the last 3, 4, 5 months of this year picking back up where we were.
Okay.
So now we're ready to, I think, take off and go forward. Same with medium price. That's a little fluctuating because that changes the way they calculate the numbers. But it was 1,244,000 last year, and this April it's 1,151,000.
Okay.
Now let's look at the condo market. Last year was 883,000, and last month it was 864,000
Okay.
for an average price.
So
And
again,
940 medium, and then last month 925. So we're pretty muchly captured back what we lost, the ground that we lost. Should be interesting to see where it goes for the remainder of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know that we can count on you to keep us up to date with where the stats are.
I sure will. I'm a stats lady. Yeah, I do that for my clients too, so I love
Well,
it.
it's important to really have a pulse on the market,
Mhm.
right? Because it helps you, I'm sure, with setting the right price when you list a property
Pricing
for sale.
is so important, so
Okay.
important. And you know, Milpitas offers so much. BART coming in November.
Mhm.
We got great shopping. We're a great transit center, ideally located to jump on 680, 880, 237.
Right.
It's still a hidden secret in Silicon Valley.
It's a great place, as our folks who are watching us who live here in Milpitas know. So, thanks for joining us. If folks
Yeah.
have questions,
Yep.
how can they get a hold of you?
Want to know something on the show here? We'll be happy to answer it. You can reach me by email, giordanodj@aol.com.
Or myself, T. Flesner at opusadvisors.com. And again, thanks for joining.
And Todd, I have so much fun doing this with you.
It's
a joy.
We've been doing this, what, 10 years or so?
10, maybe 10 plus.
It's,
It's really been a lot of fun.
Well, it's just a lot of fun to bring different guests on and expose folks to our Milpitas community and let people learn more about who's here in our neighborhood.
Beautiful. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Terrific.
Thanks.